Hey y'all, my name is Jeff Slaughter. I'm a developer advocate for Bluemix at IBM, and it's Friday, so I thought we'd do a cool little video on some of the things I like, cell phones and IoT. So we're going to be having some fun with our cell phone today and a Raspberry Pi. So we're going to be using Python and Bluemix and the Internet of Things to connect the Raspberry Pi to basically our cell phone. So on the Raspberry Pi, there's going to be an LED that we can turn it on and off through a web page. And then there's going to be a button on the Raspberry Pi that we push, and it'll send us a text message to a phone number of our choosing and a text message of our choosing, all in real time. This is only about 100 lines of code. It's a lot of fun, so let's jump right into it. So here's basically our end product. We can turn the LED on and off. And then we also have a switch on there that we can press and get some output as well from. So we can go ahead and push it. As you see, the push registers, everything works great. So let's get started. First things first, take an LED. For example, one of these, you can choose whatever color you want. And then go ahead and stick it in the breadboard. Make sure there's two ends to this. There's two ends. The shorter side needs to go to the ground. So let's go ahead and stick this in here. Let's stick it down here at the end out of the way. Let's go ahead and stick it in. Again, the shorter side is going to go to the ground. We're going to keep the shorter side on the left. Next step is we need to connect the LED to the ground. So the Raspberry Pi, the circuits kind of run vertical. So we're going to take about 220 ohm resistor. The red side needs to go closest to the LED. So let's go ahead and stick that in. Okay, so almost got the ground up and running. Let's go ahead and connect the ground to the Raspberry Pi itself. Let's go here, the ground rail, then connect it to ground. Should be the third pin here. Okay. So now we need to actually connect the GPIO port to it as well. So let's go ahead and take another wire. We'll go from 17. This is actually GPIO port 0, but it comes out in WiringPi as number 17. And then we'll go ahead and connect it to the long side of the LED. So let's go ahead and check it out. So if we did everything correctly, the light should turn on here, and it does. Let's go ahead and turn it off. Awesome. So next we have a simple switch, just a button press switch. We're going to stick that in. Let's stick it down here near the end. We'll go ahead and stick it in here. Make sure it goes in all the way. You have to kind of push it in. It wants to kind of not stay in so well. Okay, I think it's in. Okay, so now we need to connect this guy to the ground rail. So doesn't really matter which side it is here. We'll put ground rail here. And then we need to connect this ground rail also to the ground as well. So we'll take another wire. Let's use the shorter one. Connect this ground rail to the ground as well. Doesn't really matter which ground you use here, but we're going to use this one near at the end since it's a little shorter. And then lastly, we need to connect the button to the GPIO port. We're going to use GPIO port number 1, which is 18 here. So go ahead and connect that in. And then let's go ahead and start the program the Python program that will take the input from it. So we'll go ahead and start it. And then if we press this button, it should register. And it does. So super simple getting started with Python and a Raspberry Pi. So next we need to get the IP address of our Raspberry Pi. So we can click on the little terminal icon there at the top, and then we'll type in ifconfig, if, co, and fig, and it will show us the IP addresses of our Raspberry Pi. This is only if we want to do things through SSH. If you're connected over Ethernet, the address will be there at the top for ETH0, or if you're doing wireless, it'll be down there at the bottom. So in this demo, we're going to be doing everything over SSH. So as I previously said, we're going to do this over SSH, and we need that IP address that we just showed how to get it. So the Raspberry Pi I'm doing it over wireless, so I'm going to get that IP, and then we'll type it in. But you can do this through the UI of the Raspberry Pi as well if you want to. So I'm going to go ahead and SSH into my Raspberry Pi, SSH Pi at 192.168.1.60. And yours might be different. This is just mine. So you'll need your IP for your Raspberry Pi. And we'll go ahead and hit enter. So once we get here and hit, well, the password is of Raspberry Pi. So just type that in. And then we're on a Raspberry Pi now. So the first step, we need to update the packages on the Raspberry Pi. So we're going to type in sudo apt-get update and hit enter. And I'm going to go ahead and kind of shorten this. It takes a little while, so give it a couple minutes. I kind of shorten this just for this video. So it will take a little while to run. I'm going to go ahead and skip ahead. Through the magic of video editing, it's now done, which is great. Yours might take a little longer to run. It really depends on the speed of your internet connection. So we'll say done, and next we need to actually upgrade those packages. So we'll type in sudo apt-get upgrade. And then we'll hit yes and hit enter. And again, through the magic of video editing, we're going to make this go quicker. So now our Raspberry Pi is basically set up and ready to go. So next bit, we need to clone a library and pull down a library that's used to talk to GPIO. That's basically the input and output of the Raspberry Pi. So to do that, we're going to type in git clone, and then we'll pause here a little bit on this. So it's git clone git git.drogon.net/WiringPi. Why is it WiringPi is just this great library for controlling GPIO. So we'll hit enter. It's going to pull down, and we'll cd into that directory. Cd into WiringPi. Cd just means change directory. Type ls just to see that what's there. And all we need to do here is just type in /build and hit enter. This will just take a little bit to run. It won't take too long. And then this will basically set up GPIO for us on our Raspberry Pi. There we are. We're done basically setting up GPIO. So to test this, we're going to type in GPIO read all, and then you should get the outputs kind of that's listed there on the screen. It's not going to be exactly like that, but it's GPIO space read all, and you should get this kind of output here on the screen. Next, we're going to cd back to our home directory. So cd a tilde just means our home directory. Now we need to pull down some code to basically control the Raspberry Pi through the IoT Service in Bluemix. I'll leave this on the screen for a second. Go ahead and pause this if you want to copy this URL out here. But I'll also post it down in the description of the video as well, so you can copy and paste this whole thing exactly. So we'll hit enter. It just pulls down a package file for Ubuntu. So I'll type sudo pkg-i install, and then type IoT and hit tab, and then it'll auto-complete the rest of it, and then hit enter. So it's going to start setting up the IoT service on the Raspberry Pi. So that worked pretty quickly. Next, we need to get the device ID of the Raspberry Pi. We need this for setting it up. So with service IoT get device ID. So you'll see some random characters there. It's basically the MAC address of the Raspberry Pi. Let's go ahead and copy that for now. We'll need that in a little bit. So next, switch back to your web browser. So the next step involves using Bluemix. So if you haven't done part one of setting up a Hello World Python Flask app, I'd suggest you do that to figure out how to set up a Bluemix account. If not, if you've already done that, great, that's great, or have an account set up already. So go to bluemix.net. Go ahead and sign in. I'm just going to skip over that for now. Click on Catalog there in the top. And we want the IoT Foundation service. So we're going to scroll down to it. It's actually at the bottom of the page if you scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page. I'm just scrolling through slowly. It's all the way down here at the bottom. We're going to go ahead and click on that. So one really important thing here, we need to name this exactly like this. So IoT-Python, if I can spell it correctly, IoT-Python. And then here at the top, choose Leave Unbound. This is important as well. Then click Create. And yeah, just make sure the name is spelled IoT-Python. If not, we're going to have some trouble with it later. Click Create. Let's take a second. So now we have an IoT service ready to go to use. So we're going to click on Launch Dashboard. So this will bring us to the IoT Foundation through Bluemix. So go ahead and click on Devices there at the top, and click on Add a Device. So leave that, create a device type in this exactly again, Raspberry Pi, all lowercase. And for the device ID, this is that piece of information we copied from a Raspberry Pi. So we're going to go back and get it, copy it again, and paste it there and click continue. So there's some important information here on the screen. We're going to copy all this. It's basically our authentication for the Raspberry Pi. So we're going to copy all that, and then go back to our terminal, and then we're going to edit a file. So cd into Etsy, IoT, then to hit that tab trick again, then hit enter. So there's no files here, so we're going to type in sudo vi device.cfg. And if this is your first time using VI, that's fine. We're going to go through it, how VI kind of works. So to insert text here, press the I key. I is in indigo. Then you can actually just paste the text right after that. And to get out of VI, hit the escape key, then do colon, then type WQ, and that will get you out. So now we have our device, basically our device set up on the Raspberry Pi. So next, we actually want to make sure that this actually works. So we're going to go ahead and restart the IoT service. So type in sudo IoT restart. And it's going to say it restarted. So we're going to double check that it's publishing this data to the IoT service. So we'll go back to our web browser, click done. And then you should see, it should say last event just now, and it should be updating all these messages here in real time. You should see a bunch of them flowing through there. If it's not, pause here and then let's. So next we need to download some code for it. So we're going to open up a new tab, go to github.com, IBM-Bluemix, IBM's caps and Bluemix's caps. So here on the page, we're going to search for Python-IoT Raspberry Pi. So we're going to go ahead and click on that. It should be somewhere near the top. And over on the right-hand side, we're going to want to click the little clone button there. So go ahead and click that. It's going to copy the Git URL that we need. So we're going to switch back to terminal. And then type in git space clone space and then paste in that URL. So next we need to add in one more configuration file. So do vi device.cfg here. And hit enter. Hit the I key, remember, for insert. We'll switch back to our web browser and scroll down on this GitHub page. There's some text we need to copy. It's the configuration file. So we need to copy this text right here. Then we'll go back to terminal. And since we already pressed I, we can just paste it. So we need to update some of these values here to make this work. So where it says your IoT org, go left with the arrow key, then hit the X key a couple of times until it's erased. Then hit the A key. That means append to that line. And then we'll go back to the IoT service in our web browser and Bluemix to go get the org ID. So go back to Internet of Things Foundation. And up there at the top is our organization ID. So we'll double click on that and copy it. And go back to terminal. And then paste that in there. And then we'll hit the escape key. So that basically stops the input. Then we need to put in the device ID. So again, hit the X key and delete that out. And then hit the A key. And that will put us over in the right place. And then to get the device ID, it's that long thing, the Mac ID, that weird text, we'll copy that, paste that in there. Okay, the next one we're actually going to leave the same. We don't touch that, so we need to change the auth key now. So we're going to delete it out with the X key again, then hit A to go over. And we need to create an API key, so we'll click on API keys at the top there. Click on New API Key. So this is our API key. So let's copy that first one where it says key. Copy that, and then paste it in. Then hit the escape key again, and then let's go down and hit the X key to start deleting that again. Now hit the A key to go over. Now we need to go copy the token. So let's copy the token out, and then paste that there as well. And hit escape, and then type escape again, and then colon WQ to quit. Now let's click OK, I got it, and then just type in some comment for it so you know what it is, like Raspberry Pi. And then you're good to go. So the next bit, we need to start installing some of the Python dependencies for our application. So we do this with something called pip. It's basically a package manager. So we're going to cd into Python IoT Raspberry Pi. So this is our application that we're going to start running or getting started. So to install this package manager, we're going to type in sudo app-get install python-pip. Then hit enter. This should go pretty quickly. It'll ask you for yes or no. We're going to click yes. And through the video editing magic, it's going to go by really quickly for me, but yours will take a little longer. So the install is now done. We need to go ahead and install those dependencies now. So to do that, we can type in sudo pip install -r, and it's going to use our requirements.txt file. And type in requirements.txt, hit enter. So it's going to start downloading Flask, the IBM IoT Python package, and then as well as the Twilio package as well. So that's just of 3 dependencies we have for this. So I'm going to use video editing again to kind of skip through this because it's kind of boring. So now our dependencies are installed, we're ready to go. So now we can go ahead and start up the app. So we'll type in sudo python client.py. Then you should kind of get this, that warning's okay, and it just means the app's running. That's no big deal. So we're basically good to go. If you get some error, that means it wasn't able to connect to IoT or there's something wrong with the GPIO setup. So let's go ahead and test out the button. So to test out the button, let's push it, and it should say button pushed on there. We can push as many times as we want. So that if it doesn't say button push, that means something's wrong and probably just plug something wrong into the wrong port on the breadboard. So basically now the Raspberry Pi is set up, so we want to open up a new terminal window on our local machine, our development machine. Switch back to a web browser. So we're going to go back to the GitHub page. We're going to copy the code once more. Click that copy to clipboard. And we're going to put the code on our development machine this time, ready to put the application into the cloud, which is Bluemix. So we'll type git clone in that long URL. Then we'll cd into that directory. So we're going to go back to our web browser and go to Bluemix and click on catalog there at the top. We're going to scroll down and look for Twilio. It's under mobile. So we're going to click on Twilio. And on the right-hand side, we need to name it exactly like this as well. So it's going to be IoT-Twilio. Type that in. And then for app, leave unbound. And we'll bind this to our app later. So since we don't have a Twilio account, we need to go sign up. So click register at Twilio. I'm going to go ahead and type in my account info. Obviously my password wasn't strong enough. Then click get started. So Twilio is going to want to verify that your phone number. So whichever phone number you want to use with the app, you need to register and verify that here. So I'm going to kind of skip this with my phone number so you don't see my real phone number. So I'll bring you to a page like this. Type in your verification code. Obviously yours is going to be different. Click submit. And then basically you're now set up for Twilio. So it's going to give you a free phone number here. So go ahead and click on get started. Then we're going to click on go to your account at the bottom. And then at the top, click on voice and messaging. Then on the right-hand side, there's 2 pieces of information we need. So click show API credentials, double click on that long account SID, go back to Bluemix and paste that in there. And then we want to do that for the auth token as well. Paste that in and then click create. So it's basically it's going to basically save these credentials for us in Bluemix so we can bind them to our app later. So it'll bring us to a page that looks like this. Then we can click on back to dashboard. So if we scroll down, we'll have a couple services there. So we'll have IoT-Python, IoT-Twilio. So if, make sure the services are named this exact way. If not, you're going to run into some trouble later. So next we want to create our first Python app. So to do that, we're going to click on catalog at the top. We're going to scroll down to runtimes, and then we're going to click on .py for Python. So for the name, it needs to be exactly python-iot-hackathon. Host can be completely unique. So this is going to be the URL you're going to access your application. I'm going to do JBS for my initials, -IoT-Python. Go ahead and click create then. And this has to be completely unique. If it's not unique, it'll tell you. But the name needs to be the same. Click create. And then, so we've basically deployed a Python app now, so we're good to go for a little bit. Next, we need to set up a couple environment variables. So on the left, click on environment variables. And this is just basically our Twilio phone number and the device ID for our Raspberry Pi. So click on user define, click on add. This needs to be device_ID, all caps. So to get this, let's go back to the Internet of Things Foundation and click on devices. And we'll want to copy that device ID again and go back to Bluemix and paste that value in. And then click on add. And for this, we want to do phone_number_from. It needs to be exact. And then we'll go get the phone number from Twilio. So we can get it from Twilio here. So the phone number is right there in the center of the page. So copy that. And we need to clean this phone number up a little bit. So it has some extra information that our app doesn't want. So we need to delete that first parenthesis and put a +1 for your US phone number and delete the dashes and the rest of the other random characters. It just needs to be numbers. So we'll go ahead and click on save. So basically our app is all set up in Bluemix. The next step is actually uploading the application code to the cloud. So to do that, let's go ahead and switch back to terminal. So all we need to do to deploy our app is type in cf push. And this is important that we use the same name earlier because there's a file, the manifest.yaml, basically tells Cloud Foundry how to deploy your app, and things need to be match up with that exactly. So let's go upload our app files for us. It's going to add those two services, the IoT-Python, which is the IoT Service, and IoT-Twilio, which is Twilio, to our application. So our app now knows how to access them. So it's going to try starting our app. I'm going to kind of breeze through this and use video editing to speed this up a little bit. So it's going to basically create a droplet, which is our app code, and then Python put together, and then it's going to try starting our app. And this is going to take a little bit. It basically just has to start Python and make sure your app is alive on a port on the public internet. So let's wait for it to start. There we go, our app started. And it's going to give us a URL for our app. So if we copy that URL for the app down there at the bottom and go back to our web browser and then paste that into a new tab, we should now see the application right. This application is not meant to be pretty, it's meant to just be simple. If we press the button turn light on, it should turn the LED light on the Raspberry Pi. So next, if we type in our phone number there in the first box, and then where it says button push, we can type in a text message, basically whatever phone number you type in there. It should be the one you registered with Twilio, and whatever text message you type in there, it will send that text to your phone whenever you press the button on the Raspberry Pi. And I'm not just going to show my phone number because I just don't want people seeing it. I would love your feedback. Reach out to me on Twitter @JSlawyer. Thanks for watching, y'all.